Welcome to The Issue Is. I'm Elex Michaelson. This week, former HHS Secretary Xavier Becerra is here to make a big announcement on our show. Then an Issue Is debate. Gloria Allred on the left, John Phillips on the right. The Issue Is starts right now.
Broadcasting across California, you're watching The Issue Is.
With us is Xavier Becerra, who has one of the most impressive resumes in recent California political history. Welcome back to The Issue Is. Great to see you. Let's talk about that background. Becerra is the child of immigrants. He grew up in Sacramento and was the first in his family to go to college, earning multiple degrees from Stanford. From 1993 to 2017, he represented Southern California in Congress, serving as chair of both the Hispanic Caucus and the House Democratic Caucus. In 2017, he became Attorney General of California and then sued the Trump administration 120 times during the first Trump administration. In 2021, President Biden and Vice President Harris appointed him as the U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services during the height of the pandemic. He served the entire Biden presidency. And for the past several months, there have been rumors that Becerra would run for governor of California. So we like to make news here. Xavier Becerra, are you running for governor of California?
Alex, all goes well, I will be the next governor of our great state.
So you are running for governor.
I have decided.
And we appreciate you making that announcement here on The Issue Is. So the big question is, why?
Well, I think you showed in that reel one of the reasons why. I've been blessed to have an opportunity to do things that my parents never got to. My father was a construction worker. My mother was a clerical worker, both immigrants. But they worked really hard, and somehow they figured out how to buy a house, send 4 kids to college or the military, and then retire with peace of mind. Can a construction worker and a clerical worker today do that? I don't know. And I'm not interested in watching, during our watch, that our families can no longer live that California dream. So I'm in mostly for that. But now I definitely got to get in. Over these last 2 months as I thought about it, I definitely have to get in. Now that I'm seeing what's going on in Washington, D.C., that can't stand. You cannot continue to see the erosion of all the work that was done to lift up this country. All those people that are being fired are not bad. All those programs that they are eliminating were not bad. Meals on Wheels is a good program for seniors. Why? What does Elon Musk have against Meals on Wheels?
All right, let's start by talking about Sacramento. You're basically saying that it's too expensive to live in California for a lot of people, right? That housing affordability,
it is,
all the rest of that. But whose fault is that? Because Democrats have had a supermajority in Sacramento for decades now, run every statewide office. Isn't that the Democrats' fault?
Well, it's a growing issue. We've had Republican governors as well.
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger was elected in 2006.
Yeah, I guarantee you, homes in California in 2006 were too expensive back then.
I know, but it's gone up a lot in the last 20 years.
We have not tackled it the way we should. And I think principally the reason we have this issue in California on prices is because we haven't built enough. And that means it's a tight market. Everyone still wants to come to California. People may be leaving, but there are a whole bunch of people who would love to be able to live in California.
But from a policy perspective, what specific change are you proposing that would be different than the status quo right now, that would make a difference and make prices less in California?
Yeah, I can tell you that status quo, business as usual, is not on California voters' mind as the thing to do. And so I think all of us are going to be talking change, but here's what I would do. I would take the experience I had having to lead this country at Department of Health and Human Services out of a pandemic, a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic, having to negotiate for the first time in our history the lower prices for prescription drugs of some of the most expensive drugs that our seniors on Medicare program have to use. I would say you need to bring the problem right to the table with the best experts there. You scrub it, and then whatever is left, whatever's clean and survives, that's what you do. And we've not been willing to do that because of all the politics, all the old ways of doing things. We get caught up in this knee-jerk reaction that we can't do it that way. Time to change.
Kamala Harris is now considering running for governor. Some of the other candidates have said that if she gets in, they're out. What about you? If Kamala Harris runs for governor, do you stay in the race?
It makes no difference to me who's in or not. I'm in. Yeah. That's it. I'm in.
Have you talked to Kamala Harris about this?
I've not spoken to the vice president since probably January.
In Sacramento, the governor put forward the idea that we're going to do health care for undocumented people.
Yes.
It has been very expensive and over budget of what was expected, billions of dollars over budget. Do you think that that is a program that is worth keeping up, and do you think it's something California can afford right now?
Do I believe that everyone in the state of California should have access to the health care they need? I do. Do I believe that the program that the governor implemented that would include undocumented immigrants who are working, paying taxes, I believe we should eventually get there. Can we afford to do it? That's where a governor has to decide. That's where you bring everybody in, you scrub it. If we can afford it, we do it. If we can't afford it, we have to be realistic. If we can't afford it, how do we do it?
We do something called personal issues on this show, which is fun. 30 seconds, rapid fire, to get to know your cultural favorites.
Yes.
So this is the first thing that comes to mind, rapid fire, to get to know what you're into. So what's your favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show? If I get to watch TV these days, it's mostly sports. So I'll say right now March Madness, because in fact, women's March Madness.
Yeah. Favorite movie?
Interstellar.
That's a good one.
I still try to figure everything out about that.
Favorite book?
Favorite book? Oh gosh. There's a book called Reign of Gold that I love. Victor Villaseñor. It's about a long history of a family from Mexico.
Favorite band or musician?
Oh gosh, one? Gosh, I could tell you I love Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. I can tell you.
That's a good one.
I mean, I go back. I listen. You should see my playlist. I have Mexican music along with R&B. Some of the Adele's great. I mean,
Hello. There we go. And finally, who is your role model?
As corny as it sounds, my wife. I have learned a great deal from her, but tolerance is probably one of her greatest virtues, and she's always been by my side.
And finally, do you ever think about what that little kid growing up in Sacramento would think about the fact that you grew up to go to Stanford, to be in Congress, to be Attorney General in the cabinet, and now a candidate for governor?
Alex, you got to understand, I applied to Stanford without ever knowing where Stanford was. I used to say I'm a slow learner. No, I'm not a slow learner. I'm a late learner because I never had those experiences. Mm-hmm. And what I will tell you is that if you got good family and a great state, you can go a long ways.
And potentially be the next governor of California.
We'll see.
A journey that would start right here on The Issue Is.
Right here with you, where news is made.
Thank you very much for giving us your first interview.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate the perspective. Up next, reaction to this interview and lots about Donald Trump with Gloria Allred on the left and John Phillips on the right. You're not going to want to miss this.
Forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn.
That is President Trump discussing his tariffs plan, which initially caused panic selling in the U.S. stock market. Joining us to talk about this and more is our panel. Look at this panel. Gloria Allred is a proud Democrat, one of the most successful and famous attorneys in the country. She's perhaps best known for her work representing women who have been the victims of various crimes. John Phillips is a conservative commentator, host of The John Phillips Show, which airs live on KABC Radio in Los Angeles, weekdays from 12 to 3. Starting this week, the show is also now airing live on 810 KSFO in San Francisco. John, congrats on the show. Very cool.
Thank you very much.
And Gloria, good to have you back.
Thank
Our
you.
most frequent guest. We missed you.
Thank you, Alex.
All right, so let's get started. Trump, tariffs, big news impacting a lot of people's wallets this week. Your assessment of what's going on with President Trump right now?
Can you say catastrophe and disaster? Don't just believe me, obviously. Look at the stock market. Everything is falling. People have lost a lot of money in their 401ks and elsewhere. There are people already being laid off from their jobs. So the cost is great. It's not what he promised. It's not what people voted for.
Well, he did promise tariffs, right? He's been talking about tariffs for 40 years.
Yeah, but the tariffs, which of course are really a sales tax, the tariffs that he's putting on, Alex, are not even the kind of tariffs that he promised. This is a meat axe approach. This is not the scalpel that he said he was going to do, where he looks at a country and says, oh, they're charging us a 20% tariff. We're going to charge them a 20% tariff. Nothing to do with that. These are blanket tariffs of certain amounts. He's even putting a tariff on an island where there are only penguins. This is not a thought out approach, and this is going to hurt working people. This is going to hurt consumers. And so I saw his Commerce Secretary today say, oh, we just have to trust Trump. I'm not about trusting Trump. He has a record of bankruptcies. He has a record of being sued for fraud. He is not the businessman that he sold himself to be. And so, no, I'm not going to trust him. I'm going to trust the American people, and we're going to fight back against Trump.
John, I think you have a different view.
Yeah, well, even though Donald Trump came in and replaced Joe Biden, it's really not a first term for him. This is his second term. He is now a lame duck. He never has to face the voters again. And with that, he has certain liberties where he can tackle big problems. He can tackle the trade deficit. He can tackle immigration. He can tackle entitlement reform and all the things that DOJ is working on.
Oh, really?
And when you work on these long-term projects, you don't have to worry about these short-term metrics that politicians are usually obsessed with. You don't have to look at the polls. You don't have to look at the stock market. And if he is successful with this, if he can fix one of these big problems, then it's worth it. And that's going to go down in the history books as him doing something that very few people could do.
You think this tariff thing is a good idea?
Yeah.
Why?
Because if you look at what happened during COVID, how the United States didn't manufacture a lot of the PPE, a lot of the items that we needed, a lot of the drugs, in fact, came from places like China. It became a national security thing where you have to be able to create different items that you're going to need in a moment of crisis. Otherwise, you're going to be dependent on other people, and those other people may not be your friends.
Gloria, your thoughts as we now have this global market.
Yeah, well, first of all, we are very dependent on others, and others are very dependent on us. And we had a really good economy coming in here, John, in January, which he is now destroying, going down on the economy. By the way, you mentioned, oh, he's a lame duck. Check with him. He just said he wants a third term, which, by the way, is prohibited by the Constitution, 22nd Amendment, and also the 12th Amendment. But moving along from that, yeah, he's in power. What happened to Congress? What happened to the Republicans in Congress? There are only 4 senators, but at least that's 4 who oppose his tariffs because they know it's going to hurt their state.
All right, let's talk about his record. Is the border secure now?
Oh, is the border secure?
Is it?
Talk about his record. You know, this political stunt.
The answer is yes,
Are you
it is.
happy with what's happened with the border?
This political stunt
Yeah.
of deporting people to a different country without giving them due process and making mistakes in the process. How would you like to have somebody come into your home, ICE, take you out? You don't have a chance to say, wait, I'm an American citizen, I'm a radio talk show host, don't take me, I'm not a gang member. They just take you out, take you to a different country, not even the country you came from, shave your head, put you in a prison with thousands of other people, and you don't have a chance to say boo to them.
How about border crossings?
How about border crossings? How about changing the subject
fell off a
from the
cliff.
fact that, by the way, you talked about national security?
Yes.
You don't want to talk about people in national security talking on Signal, talking on Gmail, and not for the first time, avoiding and ignoring national security. These people are incompetent. These people are intentionally ignoring the security we've had and hurting our country.
John?
So that's a long way to get there, but yes, the border is secure.
I mean, objectively, it is true that Donald Trump has had fewer border crossings than Joe Biden, at least so far.
The only person,
this
I
time
wouldn't
around.
mind if he crossed the border and went somewhere else instead of helping, hurting the
We
United
could
States.
make this about immigration, but let's stay
Yeah.
on the news of this week. Elon Musk news that he may be soon on the way out, which was kind of the original plan anyways, for him to stay for 120 days as a special government employee.
Oh, really?
You think not?
Well, come on. He lost big time. His candidate
He
in
gave a lot of money
Wisconsin-
for Wisconsin
Oh,
for
yeah.
this
Talk
Supreme
about
Court decision.
millions.
Supreme Court justice who ended up, the Democratic choice ended up winning
Yes.
after Elon Musk spent record sums there.
Susan Crawford, that's
Yes.
her name. He lost to a woman. Trump, get used to it, because women are becoming very empowered in this country.
Although Trump
And
has beaten 2 women and for the White House.
Well, he got elected, and that is a big loss for us.
Yeah.
But
God
all I
help
can
us.
say is, Musk lost. He can't put a lipstick on a pig. He can't say that he won in any way.
Yeah.
He went there with his cheese head, looking like a fool. And, Wisconsin voters decided Wisconsin is not for sale, and they voted for Susan Crawford.
John, your thoughts on Elon Musk?
Yeah, I love the fact that the guy who is the richest man on planet Earth, who is changing the world that we live in every single day, could come up with cures for all of these diseases, is regarded as an idiot by the people who nominated Kamala Harris to be president of the United States. What he is doing in the United States government right now is something that should have been done a long time ago. The waste, fraud, and abuse that exists in our government has been there since the administrative state was born, and no one has been able to successfully tackle that. It is
And
true.
neither has he.
If you care about the people who are taking Social Security, if you care about the people on Medicare, you have to make sure that those programs are solvent. And the people who claim to care about them, the Democrats, really fundamentally care about the bureaucracy that administers them, and they don't care about the people who receive the benefits.
How do you know that's true?
Because that's how they act.
Do you think it's possible that Musk maybe could have used a little bit more of a scalpel in going after some of this?
Democrats say they care about waste, fraud, and abuse, but Saddam Hussein said he won the Gulf War. Crazy people think crazy things. I don't know what to say about that.
Well, Trump thought he won an election that he didn't win, too, so come on.
Good point there, touche. And up next, we're going to talk about the governor's race here in California and respond to that Xavier Becerra interview. Gloria, I know you've got a dance move you like to show off on this show. Do you mind showing John your best move?
Oh, you mean dance?
Well, save that. Give
Okay.
us
All right.
your. So there it is. We've got the movements. She's back, ladies and gentlemen. Gloria Allred, ladies. We'll be back with more right after this.
You need to bring the problem right to the table with the best experts there. You scrub it, and then whatever is left, whatever's clean and survives, that's what you do.
That's Xavier Becerra giving the first TV interview of his campaign to The Issue Is. A few weeks back, Katie Porter gave us the first TV interview of her campaign. Let's talk more about the governor's race now with our panel, Gloria Allred and John Phillips. John, I know you've been following this closely on your show, The John Phillips Show, and often playing our interviews on the show. Your thoughts on the race, specifically the Becerra interview?
Well, the way he kept talking about wanting to scrub things, I thought he was talking about Karen Bass's text messages there for a little bit. He just went on and on and on. You tried your best. You put in a yeoman's effort. That interview was embarrassing for him. He didn't answer any of your questions, and he didn't answer any of your questions because he doesn't have any of the answers that California needs right now. You look at the crisis that the state is in right now, whether it's insurance, whether it is homelessness, whether it's the budget, whether it's making sure that we have the water to fight the fires that we know we're going to have to deal with in the future. And it's not just Xavier Becerra, who came from the Biden administration, despite the fact that Nancy Pelosi didn't want him there. It's Katie Porter, who you had on this program, Kamala Harris, who only seem to care about federal issues. Well, if you care about federal issues, go run for Congress. Go do something in the federal government.
Well,
California has a lot of problems,
Yeah.
and the last thing we need is another absentee landlord governor.
Your thoughts on Becerra and the race so far?
I know it's shocking, but I don't agree with him. Usually elected officials or people who want to be elected officials don't talk about the specifics in the beginning. They talk about their values. They're introducing themselves to the public. Republicans do the same thing. And independents do the same thing. He's got a great background, Becerra. I mean, having been a congressperson, you didn't even mention, he grew up in California. He was an attorney general in California. And now he hopes to be governor. And he's been a leader in the Democratic Party. And Katie Porter is an excellent candidate as well.
Do you have a favorite candidate?
I don't, because I
Not
don't
yet.
endorse in primaries, but I can say if I thought somebody was unqualified, I would certainly say that.
Do you want Kamala Harris to run?
I always think it's great to have a competition and to have choices. I like the voters to have choices.
What do you think of Kamala's calculus right now?
She doesn't want to go down as a loser. And right now, she is a loser. She lost to Donald Trump, so Donald Trump now has a second term. And she's looking for a consolation prize. Well, guess what? Being governor of California is not a year's supply of turtle wax. We don't need someone who's looking to build their resume. We need someone who has the answers to the problems that face California. And right now, we haven't seen it from any of these people.
Yeah.
So, John, did you call Trump a loser when he lost the 2020 election? Did you say, "Oh, he's a big loser, don't run again"? I don't think I heard that. Did I miss hearing that?
I call him a two-term president.
Oh, I see. Okay.
We could go on forever, but we don't want to end with disagreement. We want to bring people together, which we do here on The Issue Is. And John, I know you know this about Gloria, but Gloria's been with us since it's pretty much the beginning of this show. We've got some video of when she first came on the show. This was her first appearance. We danced together, and she said, "The only way I will ever come back is if you dance with me." So we've been dancing together for years on this show. And so we got to keep that tradition going right now. So we've got your theme song, Laura Branigan's
well,
Gloria.
thank you.
Let's play it. Gloria, show us that move, and you get to dance with both me and John.
Oh,
John,
wow.
this is a moment.
This is the only threesome I'm ever involved in.
Well, we won't call you Katie Hill then.
Come on, Gloria.
It's the Trump dance.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Yeah.
Trump dance.
Oh, yeah. So Gloria's now doing the Trump dance. We are really bringing people together here on The Issue Is. There we go. What a moment. Thanks so much. We'll be back with more right after this. Well, this is pretty cool. The Issue Is won the Golden Mike Award this week for Best Political Affairs Show. Our editor and executive producer, Debbie Kim, picked up the hardware at a big celebration in Hollywood. Congrats to our entire team, but especially to Debbie, who poured her heart and soul into this particular show. They honored our documentary special on Father Greg Boyle and his Homeboy Industries, the largest gang intervention program in the country. You can watch it right now. Hopefully you'll be inspired by it. YouTube.com/Elex Michaelson. Thanks so much for watching this week. We'll see you next week with more of The Issue Is.